The restaurant had the kind of lighting that pretends to be warm. Everything looked softer than it was. Faces wood, even the edges of voices. I arrived 5 minutes early, and which was my habit when I didn't want to be noticed. My brother's birthday banner drooped slightly over the host stand, as if it had already been through something. They were easy to spot. A long table near the window. Adults clustered together, menus open, glasses already sweating. At the far end, perpendicular and smaller, a second table, paper placemats, crayons, 2 booster seats. My sister-in-law saw me first. She smiled the way people do when they think they've set something clever in motion. "Oh, there you are," she said, standing. "You're over there." She nodded toward the kids' table. "Only important guests sit with the adults." A couple of people laughed. Not hard, just enough to show they'd heard. I took in the geometry of it. The distance, the visibility. This wasn't overflow. This was placement. I walked over and pulled out a chair. It was low. My knees came up higher than I expected. A kid stared at me curious, then went back to coloring a dinosaur green. I waited for a menu. For water. For someone to say, "Hey, we'll grab you a plate." Nothing came. When the server arrived with food, it was counted quickly, efficiently. Plates placed. Steam rose. My brother looked at the empty space in front of me, then back at his steak. "Wes, you're not that important," he said, shrugging, as if explaining the weather. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. I felt the familiar impulse, laugh, deflect, ask for a plate myself, make it easier for everyone else. I'd done that most of my life. Stayed agreeable, stayed seated. Instead, I sat very still. Silence has a texture when it lasts longer than expected. Conversations near us stumbled. Someone cleared their throat. The kids noticed before the adults did. They always do. I stood up. I picked up the gift I'd brought, a bottle I knew my brother liked, wrapped carefully because I'd had time. I didn't slam my chair back or announce anything. I said it evenly to the table, not to any one person. "Then I'm leaving." For a second, nothing happened. Then my brother's head snapped up. "Wait." The word came out sharp, urgent. Too late. People were looking now. The server paused, tray balanced on one hand. My sister-in-law's smile had slipped. She was already calculating, eyes moving from face to face. I didn't argue. I didn't list reasons. I nodded once, as if acknowledging a receipt, and walked away. Outside, the night air hit me hard enough to feel like a correction. I stood on the sidewalk and breathed until my hands stopped shaking. I hadn't realized how much effort it had taken to stay seated. My phone buzzed almost immediately. "You didn't have to make a scene," my brother texted. I typed back, deleted it, then put the phone in my pocket. Scenes require spectacle. I just removed myself. 10 minutes later, because time suddenly mattered again, the door flew open behind me. "Hey!" My brother's voice carried, louder than he probably intended. He jogged up, coat half on. "Come on." That was a joke. I looked at him. Up close, he looked smaller than he had inside, like the room had been lending him something. "It didn't feel like one," I said. He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "She didn't mean." I held up my hand, not angry, just stopping him. "I'm not doing this out here." He hesitated, then nodded. Authority shifted in a subtle way, not because I demanded it, but because I didn't chase explanation. "I'll call you," he said. "We'll talk." "Okay," I said. And I meant that too. I walked to my car. As I pulled away, I caught a glimpse of the table through the window. People leaned in now, talking more quietly. The kids' table sat empty. The drive home was longer than it should have been. I kept replaying the moment I stood up, wondering if I'd misread it, if I'd overreacted. Old doubts, well worn. They lost their edge the further I got from the restaurant. The call came 2 days later. My brother's tone was careful, as if he were stepping onto ice he didn't trust. "She says you're too sensitive," he began. I waited. "And that you embarrassed us." I pictured the kids' table again, the missing plate. The shrug. "I'm not discussing whether it hurt," I said. Silence stretched. He sighed. "So what? Are you not coming to things anymore?" "I'll come to things where I'm welcome," I said. It sounded simple because it was. He tried to laugh it off. "You know how she is." Yes, I said. I do. After that, the invitations changed shape. Some didn't come at all. Some came late, hedged with asm if you want. When I did show up, there was a chair at the table. A plate, no jokes. It wasn't an apology. It was adjustment. At the next family dinner, my sister-in-law avoided my eyes. She was polite in the way people are when they've learned a limit exists. My brother watched the room more carefully than before. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. Choosing yourself costs energy, especially when you've spent years spending it elsewhere. But something held. A stunniness I hadn't expected. Later, driving home alone, I realized the humiliation hadn't ended at the kids' table. It had ended when I stood up. Everything after that was just fallout, uncomfortable, uneven, real. Self-respect doesn't arrive with applause. It shows up quietly, like a chair pulled out where you can finally sit, or the decision to leave when there isn't one.